The price has never been, the stakes have never been greater, and the danger has never been more real. We're joined tonight by Katie Lee, a woman who represents all that is good and right in a sport that has fallen off the rails and seemingly lost its way. The human toll and the loss of life in this sport is staggering. In a sport where many consider it a joke at best and pornographic at worst. Join me for an unfiltered look into the world of competitive female bodybuilding from one of the top names in the business, Katie Lee. Katie, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to have this all-important topic of
It is a quite frankly, Katie, be honest with you, it is a hot button topic. I will tell you. In the interest of full disclosure, I want to tell you I invited Annie Rivecchio to be on the show tonight.
Okay.
I also invited Colette Jamon. I keep forgetting her last name. Colette.
Yes.
Big girl.
Yeah.
She flatly refused to appear with a couple
Okay.
of expletives.
Okay.
Annie Rivecchio, I have the feeling, didn't want to appear because she knew where the conversation was going to go. And we will, let's just, I am, and everybody who knows, they watch the show. A lot of people watch this show. And thank you for the 2 million downloads. They will tell you that I'm a no bullshit kind of guy. I go right for the jugular. So here's the deal. I'm a fan of, I will tell you quite frankly, I'm a fan of the sport. I followed it from the early days, its early inception, way back to people, think it began in 75, 76 with Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Pumping Iron movie, Pumping Iron 2 women. My date probably precedes that by about 15 years. I'm 62. And I remember people like Mildred Burke, who was a female wrestler and very jacked for the time. We're talking about the 40s and 50s, where you didn't see women with biceps. And if you did, you questioned whether, in fact, it was a woman or not, quite frankly.
Right. Right.
The world of female bodybuilding, however, as an organized sport, you must admit is relatively new, probably 25 or so years, maybe 20, 25 years. How did it get from the competitive stage level sport field to where, and I'm just going to go for it right at the beginning of the show, to where women are having to basically do porn movies to support their lifestyle? And let's just be honest about it. I have to say something in full disclosure. There's no problem with the men gaining sponsorship money. And I understand why some women may feel like they have to go that route. I have other avenues I could make money for them. But for whatever reason, the porn business gravitated to female bodybuilders like ants to an ice cream cone on the ground.
Yeah.
So what happened here, Katie? First of all, welcome to the show and thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Let's just get right into it, kid.
Yeah. I mean, it's a personal choice at the end of the day. If that's what you choose to make money, then that's your choice. I don't judge women on that. I personally do not go that route. I don't, just morally, I have values, my family, it's just not how I was raised. But again, I don't judge any other women. If that's what they have to do, is what they have to do. You got to pay your bills. You got to do what you got to do. I'm not sure why it kind of took that route. But I think it had to do with maybe the demand. So as female bodybuilding started, and maybe girls saw it and realized they didn't like it that much, like the more they saw it, they're like, oh wow, I actually am drawn to this. Like I am for some reason just, fixated on it. So I think it started to just grow. And then, of course, you know, you have girls, oh, can you just send me pictures of, you know, you just flexing? So you're like, oh, okay, flexing is okay. Yeah, we'll send you a picture. And then they start to push it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And then the next thing you know, they're in hotel rooms. They're doing.
Yeah.
Wow, like that's pretty intense, you know. And again, it's not my thing. I have not dove into that side of the industry, but I do know a lot of girls who do.
Oh yeah,
I've
absolutely.
heard
You heard me
stories,
say
you know.
yeah, and it's interesting. You heard me say at the beginning of the show that you are a woman who represents everything that's good and right with the sport. I chose you to be on the show along with the other people I chose who, by the way, in the interest of full disclosure, in case you're just joining us, Ann Revecchio turned us down. I guess she's too happy with muscleangels.com or whatever that thing is.
Right.
And Colette, whose last name I still fuck up, who looks like a block of meat.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about her too. Because you'll know something about me very quickly. You're going to become my best bud. I'll tell you why. Because I'm unfiltered. Unfiltered.
Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do. Let's talk about how you're able, first of all, how you're able to make a living, number one, but how you're able to sustain your training, your lifestyle. It's not something that you can just stop doing.
Right.
Because then your body has serious repercussions health-wise. If you just stop, you can wean off of bodybuilding, but it's like a drug. You can't stop cold turkey. What methods and means are you using to supplement your income? As I know that you're not doing any porn, and I know you're not doing any of that crap. So how does Katie Lee make things work in 2020?
So I did start my own business in 2018, March of 2018. Personal training. I do nutritional programs for clients. I do their programs according to their goals. So they want to put on muscle, lose weight, just be a bodybuilder, not be a bodybuilder, just be a normal woman that's toned. Like I get all walks of life. So that's pretty much where 90% of my income comes from, is just the personal training. I do work with HD Physiques, which is somewhat along the lines, I think, of I guess it's not Muscle Angels. I don't even want to compare the two because he's so much.
Yeah, I know exactly who HD Physiques are. I will say this about HD Physiques: they are tongue-in-cheek. They and I've seen some of their product. I have a little surprise, and you'll find out right now. I actually know somebody who works with the company. I'm not going to tell you who, because then I won't get my free stuff.
Right.
So I like free stuff, and I'm not going to dime them out. So here's the thing. HD Physiques is an interesting company because it does supply you an income. It does keep you working, but they're tongue-in-cheek, as I said. It's not overt porn. It is not, in fact, it's not pornographic at all. Arm wrestling, some light fetish stuff.
Yes.
But that's about it. So my hat's off to HD Physique for giving the women an outlet to make some money in lieu of sponsor money. We're going to talk about that right now because that's a hot button issue. As I said earlier, the men can snap their finger and get sponsor money. They can look at a sponsor and get sponsor money. Women can't. They don't have that luxury. Women are considered a joke. They're considered freaks. They are still, like it or not, women bodybuilders are still the freak show of the sports world. But yet it's okay to see a volleyball player in the Olympics with muscle. It's okay to see a gymnast in the Olympics with muscle. All this is okay. But heaven forbid a woman walks onto a stage in a bikini and starts, flexing. Then there's a problem.
Right. Yeah.
Talk to me about the hypocrisy or the dichotomy thereof.
Yeah.
Have at
I'm
it,
not.
kid. Just call me
you know,
Dr. Angelo.
yeah, right. Right, Doc. I think there's a on maybe women not being able to have muscle. I think it's just, oh, guys are just the ones with muscle, you know. And you had, you know, Corey Everson, who was considered, you know, a bodybuilder. You know, she was considered a woman with muscle. But you look at her
Sure.
now compared to girls, and she looks like a bikini competitor, maybe a figure on a good day, just as far as the muscular tone and density and leanness. So it's just come a really long way. And I'm just.
Can I tell you who I used to know? I think you'll find this
from the women.
I think you'll find this interesting. I'll tell you who I used to know. You'll get a kick out of it. Her name was Sue Price.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Sue Price? Now,
sounds very familiar.
She did a film called Nemesis. If you ever saw that film, Nemesis, check it out sometime. It's called Nemesis. She actually did the director of the film series. He's a big female bodybuilding fan, and he used female bodybuilders in all 4 of his movies. The first one was Sue Price. It was called Nemesis. But she was a blonde-haired woman. She still is, in fact. But even now, at 57 years of age, she's still healthy looking. She's not jacked up. She's not like roided out. She's a healthy looking 57-year-old woman. The problem that I think society has, and you addressed it a moment ago, is this the freak element, the sideshow element. The woman who walks down the street and you go, like, do one of these jobs.
Yeah.
You know, is it, or, you know, is he or is she, you know?
Right.
So let's talk about that, Katie.
Yeah. I think it just comes from, I guess, the women making a choice to take it too far. I just come from a place of, you know, my coach addressed training and nutrition. We didn't even mention drugs until I was prepping for my pro card. So I was in the gym probably a solid 4 years before I even knew about anything. And then in those 4 years, of course, I'm seeing Instagram, I'm seeing these girls, I'm seeing everything kind of unfold in front of my eyes. And I'm like, wow, like, I wonder if I'll ever get there. I wonder if I'll ever get to that level. But fast forward, you know, 4 or 5 years, and it's just, it was put on by just training. It was put on by just strict.
So let me ask you now, then, it's put on by training, and, you know, you spent more than a couple of days in the gym. It's pretty clear.
Right. That's what I can say is I don't want to say outperform other females, because I'm not saying that they don't work hard either, but I can guarantee you that I've never really met another female that trains the way that I train. And it's just,
well, and I will, not that my opinion means anything, but I will tell you, having read some reviews on Katie Lee today, in fact, a lot of them, you are considered the most, I wrote it down, the most physically, aesthetically appealing. I had to write that shit down, okay?
it's
the most physically, aesthetically appealing, number one. Number two, I am told, whatever this means, is that you have the world's best peaks. Yes. Okay. So you don't have to demonstrate. I figured I probably know what peaks are. It sounds dirty, too.
My Instagram. Right.
Sounds dirty. But here's the thing, though. To train to be a bodybuilder, to train just to get in shape, or just to stay tuned, as you were saying earlier, all of this requires that some level of discipline must be imposed. So when do you make the decision that I'm going to go balls to the walls with this, and I want to be, you know, jacked up, and I want to have muscles and all this kind of stuff? When does that happen? How does that conversation take place?
But say that one more time. I'm sorry. You're.
I'm sorry. Yeah, as I said, you know, there are people, enter this at different phases. Some want to be, bodybuilders, and some want to stay in shape or just be tuned. What, at what point, how does the conversation go that I want to have muscles? I want to be big. When does that occur?
My first. So I got into the gym and I just started working out. I didn't really know what I was doing. I had no structure. I ended up actually meeting a pro bodybuilder who ended up being Mr. Olympia one day down the road. He got me into bodybuilding. Basically, he told me that I had potential. I didn't see it in myself. I had no idea what he was even looking at. But he said, hey, if you really dedicate yourself to this, I really could see you being, on the and he do category. And I'm like, okay, well, categories were these. So I'm looking at each category. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to fall into. And I don't do high heels. I just don't. I'm already 5'7". I'm already kind of tall enough. So I just don't ever do heels. And I'm not like a super girly girl. So I couldn't see myself doing bikini or figure. So
well, let me stop you there for a minute. Hold on a second there, girlfriend. Let me stop you there. Because it's funny. I'm glad you said you're not a girly girl. Because I found out that wasn't always true at one point in your life. I found let me tell you something. There were plenty of people willing to tell tales on Katie Lee.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So here's the thing. They tell me that you were, in fact, when you were a little girl, a girly girl, and that you were quite shy when you were a little kid. But then you discovered high school sports, and it's been hasn't been turn your head back since day one. You balls to the walls. That's what they tell me about you. The person who told me this knows you well, and I'm not going to dime them out either, because I have to keep my sources, kid. But I am told that when you were a little girl, that you were quite the girly girl. You didn't like getting dirty. You didn't like, the big thing was Katie Lee didn't like getting her hands dirty.
Mm-hmm. Sort of.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Somewhat.
And that high school sports was never looked back after that. It was balls to the wall. So when did the wallflower become the wall?
I think it was probably middle school into early high school. I found basketball. I was a huge basketball player. I thought that's what I was going to be when I grew up. So I was always an athlete. I had that baseline athletic ability. So that's why, bodybuilding was kind of just natural for me. I liked the challenge. I loved just, saw Dana Lynn Bailey. She was the first women's physique poster girl, so sure. I'm just looking at her like, wow, like I love the way her shoulders look. She's super lean, muscular. So that's really the first person that I saw that I was like, wow, physique is it for me. I don't want any other category. Is balance of femininity and muscle. And I don't want to go female bodybuilding hardcore because I just don't want to take it that far personally.
Right.
So physique was perfect for me. It allowed me to be big and muscular. And I had arms in the 5th grade. Okay. I was teased most of my life for it. So now it's actually reversed because I would try to hide it when I was little. Now it's like, it's out there, like, bam, like I can actually show it off, not be ashamed of it. Like, so now I used to get like, made fun of, and now I get worshipped. So it's very weird, but
it's an interesting dichotomy.
I was lifting hard and heavy. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. It's an interesting dichotomy. When you make the decision to go, oh, there you go. I saw a finger. When you make the decision to go full out, and this is what you want to do, to keep yourself from getting that blocky look, that puffy look, or what they call now the swole look, which that's another thing we'll talk about, because I don't understand what that shit's all about either. But apparently there are people going for this look called the puffy or swole look. What is that? Like, do you know what this is? Like, what this is all about?
I'm guessing they just want to emphasize size and mass, because I think that's a lot of what those, guys maybe want to the bigger the girl can get, the better. They want, because that's what they would always tell me, please get bigger, please get bigger, please get bigger. And I'm like, I mean, I'm just enjoying the process. Like, I'm not doing this for you. I'm really doing it for myself. So the way that I train, well, of course, yeah, I was going to get
Well,
bigger.
you
Of
said
course,
something important just now. You said something really, really important. I'm going to stop you there for a second. You said you're doing this for yourself. Okay. There are people, and you know this to be true. There are people in your profession that are not doing this for themselves. They're doing this for other people, and they're doing it for other reasons, mostly financial, some personal, some out of spite for whatever reason. And I know a couple of people doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you separate yourself? Hello. There you go.
Sorry.
I was like, did I piss her off already?
No. My phone fell down. I moved it.
Okay. But here's the thing, though. And at some point, you know, you make the distinction between getting super crazy and just being healthy. Now,
Right.
What do you personally do for you, since you're doing this for you? What do you do to separate yourself from the flock?
I just be myself. I mean, I think a lot of these girls, they kind of try too hard, or they push the envelope a little bit too hard. And
Yeah.
they want everything like right then and there. They're like, oh, I see this, girl, and I want her arms. And instead of taking the 6, 7, 8, 9 years it's taken me to get where I am, they want it right then and there. And it's just, a lot of it's genetics. Let's be honest. A lot of it is genetics. I had arms.
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Of course, I'm going to grow to have 18-inch arms. Like, duh.
Well,
like, it makes sense.
Katie, you're fortunate because, again, like as we said, you were an athlete in high school. You played basketball. You're a tall girl. Yeah. We should point that out. You're a tall woman, a woman, not girl. Excuse me. You're a tall woman. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, and there's again the distinction being made between somebody who has genetics and enhances those natural genetics, and somebody that just takes a vial full and just enhances, forget the genetics, they're just jacking up. Yes. One such person is, and I'm going to out the person now because I know that she's doing, and I know what she's doing. It's a woman named Colette. She is a French woman named Colette Jamon, or whatever the hell her name is. Anyway. Whoever it is, she looks like a hermaphrodite. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She has a distended clitoris that looks like a penis. She looks like a man with tits. Let's just be honest with it. Let's call a spade a spade. Yeah. She looks like she is a sick-looking woman, and I don't mean sick as in the good way sick. I mean she looks like a sick. She looks like there's something wrong with her.
Like a mutant of some sort.
Well, she's shooting up steroids is what she's doing.
Yeah, and that's what I think the distinction between me and other girls is. You can put me next to them, and it's like night and day. It's like, we're both muscular, but I mean, facial features, I mean, just everything is, and I really think that's what it is. I don't know how else, maybe my genetics, yes, I will say we have different genetics, but I just I've not done, like, I haven't taken that road. So and even if I did, because a lot of people think that I do, so I'm like, thinking to myself, wow, like if I really did run a cycle, I would literally be King Kong. Like people would be able to see the difference. Like, oh, we thought she was on it before, but now look at her. Like, duh, of course.
Well, now
I wish I could see the distinction, but of course I'm not doing that to myself, so I'm not going to prove to people anything.
Yeah.
But that's really
I'll tell you, Katie, let's talk about that. Let's explore that and let's expound upon it. Because there are a couple of people that were brought to my attention that I want to talk to you about. I had no knowledge of who these people were until just recently. There is a woman, I'm looking at her name. It is Renee Tony. Yeah. She's an African-American woman who has 27-inch biceps.
That's bigger
that is literally bigger than Hulk Hogan, okay?
Yeah.
That's
Mr. O probably.
but here's the kicker. And again, I'm going to out them if they're juicing.
Yeah.
She claims to be natural with 27-inch biceps. Okay.
Good grief.
If you've believed that, Katie, I got some swampland in Hoboken, New Jersey for you.
Right. It's like unbelievable. Like I
Yeah.
don't know why you
So now, are they lying to the public? Are they lying to themselves? And if they are, why? Why insult somebody's intelligence like that?
I think it's denial. You know, just denial. I feel
Denial.
like they are
you
just
kidding me?
not accepting it and not being honest with themselves. You know, you're like, hey,
There you go.
You do have girls that will take it and they'll be like, yeah, I take it, and so what? So you're like, okay, cool. I can't say anything to her. She's being honest. Let her do her thing. Who cares? She's not hurting anybody. But
Yeah.
the people that constantly deny when you're like, lady, come on. You can't play a player. Okay. We all know that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just don't be ashamed of it either. You know, if you're doing it and you're ashamed of it, then that's a problem. That's more of an internal problem that you need to deal with, that you cannot accept your choices.
And that's a really good point. That's a really good point. If you're ashamed of anything that you're doing, I got a simple solution for you. Right. Don't fucking do it.
Right.
Okay.
If you can't openly admit it and share it with people, then why are you even doing it? And then if that's the case, you're trying to hide it. You're just hiding it from yourself. You're making yourself look stupid in front of people, which I'm sure you don't want to do. And, you know, again, if you're going to do it, just say you do it. Okay, cool.
Send them to Dr. Angelo. I'll fix them right up.
Like, it's just
fix them right up. Let us talk now about, we got to talk about this. And I saw this documentary and I didn't quite understand what all the hubbub was until I researched it. A competition that died a slow, painful death many years ago called the Sisters of Iron. Are you familiar with this?
Yes, does ring a bell.
Okay. The documentary I saw followed a group of female bodybuilders into the very last competition of what was called the Sisters of Iron circuit or a competitive contest, whatever, however you want to call it. And they were extraordinarily sad, and they genuinely seemed like they were losing a part of their family and not able to see all these other people. When you have a group like that dies a slow death, that was doing everything right, seemingly, and on the surface and the research I did, they seemed to have done everything right. They had sponsors. They had the clean, drug-free women, which was really important to them, and the founder of the contest. The problem was they had they did not have the one thing that you and I just talked about, which was sponsorship money. Yeah. And when you know that almighty dollar can make or break you.
Yep.
Is there a safety net for female bodybuilders? Is there a way to recoup what's left of their dying sport? Because let's just call a spade, Katie. It's dying a slow, gruesome death. It really is.
Yeah. So you're asking how we could keep it alive? Yeah.
Yeah. How do you keep it alive? What do you do? How do you get eyeballs and interest into a bunch of women? How do you Mr. and Mrs. Public to support that? And it's possible, by the way, and I'm going to prove my point to you very simply. Mr. and Mrs. Public watch professional wrestling. Okay? That's what I cover. That's what I spent 48 years of my life in. Pro wrestling. Okay? I've only done two things my whole life, Katie. Wrestling and music. That's it.
Nice.
I worked in the music business and in the wrestling business. So I've been around a lot of jacked up people, men and women, a lot of people. The guys never had a problem. I had guys that wrestled, who bodybuild, who entered contests.
Mm-hmm.
Just as an interest of full disclosure, my wife's uncle is Joe Teat, if you know that name.
I don't think so.
Okay, I want you to Google that name, Joe Teat, bodybuilder.
Okay.
Okay, you'll know who he is immediately when you see him. You'll know him immediately. That's my wife's uncle. Okay, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. And again, if people will tune their eyeballs and their wallets to something as outrageous as professional wrestling, you're smiling because you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Okay? Then why not interest in a legitimate contest between, you know, a healthy, aesthetically, hold on.
Physically, aesthetically pleasing.
Aesthetically pleasing female bodybuilders. Why not? There has to be. There was an audience at one time.
Yeah, I think
people spent money on you.
Yeah.
Why not now?
There's a very small percentage of the population that actually likes those freakishly big, shredded, crazy, manly-looking women. There's a very small percent of the population.
Here's the thing, though. We're not talking about, Hulk Hogan with tits.
Yeah.
We're talking about Katie Lee, who is aesthetically pleasing and healthy looking, who has biceps and a figure, who has a pretty face that's not roided out with pock marks from needles,
right,
or any other such stuff. And somebody like, for example, over the other woman. Hold on, where was she? Here she goes. I got a couple of these names down here. It was a woman here named how do you say that? I guess it's oh hell, how do you say that name? I guess it's like Ursula. What is it? The fuck? Hold on. Give me a second here. I gotta read this. Ona Horepka.
I know who. Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about? Okay.
Yep, I know who she is.
God, you need a dictionary to pronounce her fucking name. Jesus.
I know. That's crazy. I never knew how to pronounce it. I knew how to spell it, but I never knew how to say it. So I'm glad you.
Here's the thing, though. She's not outrageous. She's a big girl, yes, jacked up, but she's pretty. She's got a figure. She has pleasing. I love that. Pleasing aesthetics.
Yes.
I got to steal your description to describe other people now.
Right.
Funny. That's funny shit. But there are the blockheads out there. There are the Colettes out there. There are the Renee Tonys out there who are just, massively jacked to the gills. And we know that they're taking shortcuts. So don't even try to insult my intelligence or bullshit me, because I know better. But someone like yourself, who trains hard, who has a healthy diet, who takes supplements, legal supplements, by the way.
Correct.
And not the illegal shit.
Yes.
Not in the dark alley. You actually buy your supplements in a supplement store.
Correct.
Not in somebody's trunk of their car.
Right. Exactly. They weren't made.
So how do you clean up this tarnished image? How do we do it?
I could just continue to do what I do. And that was really one of my original goals when I came into this bodybuilding, is to prove that girls can have muscle and they don't have to look like a man and they don't have to take the drugs. So I think subconsciously, as I was training, I knew I wasn't taking what they were taking. So I really think subconsciously I was working that much harder because I felt like I had to close a gap. I felt like the playing field was not level, but my coach said, don't worry about that. She said, just don't even worry about that. Continue to show up every day,
Yeah.
Do what I tell you to do, lift the weight I tell you to lift, and I promise you, you're going to be, she called me her protege. She's like, you will be my protege. I promise you. So I said, okay. And she's a 2-time Olympic medal holder. Like, she knew exactly what she was talking about. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, no problem. So I really think that's maybe where I caught up, or even maybe past some people, is that
Yeah.
I knew but the IFBB doesn't care. You know, they don't ask you that when you're on stage. They don't care about that. So I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, they don't care. Well, I'm not going to care. I just got to make the, close the gap somehow. So,
Sure.
more cardio, less sleep, more training. I'm up at 3:30 in the morning training with my coach by 5. Like, that's just what I had to do. But nobody knows that. Nobody sees that. Nobody cares to ask. They're just like, oh, she took.
Let's have that conversation. Let's have that conversation. Let's talk about the healthy lifestyle. We should point out to people that you're not just a female bodybuilder.
Yes.
You are a 2-discipline track athlete. You are a North American Jiu-Jitsu champion. You've been involved in karate and Jiu-Jitsu for a long time. And so walk me through those. Let's just talk about your physical disciplines. What do you enjoy when you're not working out besides working out?
Well, I like
what do you do in your spare time when you're not working out? I'm working out.
Right. I was going to say, if I'm not actually lifting weights, I'm either doing MMA, I'm doing jiu-jitsu or boxing or Muay Thai in my spare time. So I'm really in the gym 3 times a day. So I'm lifting, jiu-jitsu, and Muay Thai. And that's really just what I just live a lifestyle of sports. I live it through what I do on a daily basis. And a lot of people don't realize that, but I do. Like, I'm always doing something.
I have a surprise for you.
Yeah.
The other night I had, you know who Matthew Granahan is?
Mm-mm.
Do you know that name?
I don't think so, no.
They call him the King of Connecticut. I'll tell you about him in a minute. Matthew is involved heavily with MMA, the Ultimate Fighters. He is the manager of Stephan Bonnar. You know who Stephan Bonnar is?
I do know.
Okay.
Yep. UFC guy. Yep.
Yeah. I have a surprise for you, kiddo. I have an MMA legend coming on the show in about 2 weeks.
Oh, cool.
And I'd like to invite you back for that show.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
His name is Dan the Beast Severn.
Yes.
Okay. He will be joining me. I also have a show scheduled with Stephan Bonnar.
That's
I have
cool.
a show scheduled with, I do. Yeah.
His fight
and
with
I'll tell you
Forrest
who
Griffin
else.
was one of the best UFC fights in history.
Oh my God. Oh, please. That's me.
Incredible.
I get I get all goose pimply when I talk about UFC fights.
Yep.
And we've got Stephan. Oh, hey, and here you go. The other one. 2 other guys that are coming on. I got Chuck Liddell and Chael Sonnen.
What? That's awesome.
Yeah. And I'd like to invite you back for each of them shows.
Oh, cool.
So,
I'd love to.
Uncle Angelo give you an open invite anytime you want to come back.
That is so cool. Thank you.
I'm old. Call me Uncle Angelo now. So here, so here's the deal. You start out in high school with the sport. When did it was clearly basketball first, running, track and field, that sort of stuff. The other thing was jiu-jitsu. I found out today about your jiu-jitsu background and karate and MMA. And so which came first and which one of these disciplines bred the other?
I think they all kind of fell into one another.
Why does that not surprise me?
Well, once you become really good at one area, you're like, okay, well, I can take this area and then I can kind of relate it to the next area. And then that area, okay, well, I need a new challenge. So what's the next step? Where can I take it next? So they all kind of link up to each other. Basketball, okay, it's a sport, it's physical, okay. Now we got jiu-jitsu, okay, now we got bodybuilding. That's even more of a challenge, because you got to do the dieting too, and that's even more. And then you're like, okay, what else can I do next to challenge myself? So I think it really just fell into that domino effect of constantly wanting to be challenged and using my strength to certain areas, that are going to help me. I can use my strength in jiu-jitsu. I can use it in MMA. And it's actually cool because bodybuilding really is subjective. They don't really care what I lift on stage. They don't care about what I perform in the gym like. But now it's like jiu-jitsu, MMA, it's so measurable that people can say, yep, she won for sure. No debate, hands down. It's not like, oh, the judges liked her more or saw her on some show that they liked, so let me just give her the first place. You know, it's not like that. And that's what I think I really like the most about it, is it's actually.
I heard something else about you too. The other thing I heard about Katie Lee, but she gets bored very easy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I need that extra.
So what do you do? They said here's what they tell me about you. The elusive they tell me that you bore very easily. I wrote all this shit down, by the way, too. That you bore very easily, that you're always looking for the next thing to do, whatever the hell that means or is. You're always looking for something to do. You're always on the move to do something.
Yeah.
But quenching your thirst for something exciting is an endless task for you, because you're looking for that next thrill. You're like a thrill seeker.
Yes.
It's like what happens when the roller coaster is done, the ride.
Right. I mean,
Katie stays on the seat and waits for the next.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'll be 34 on September 12th. So like, you're getting to that point in life where, you know, you don't want to stop. Like, I don't want to stop competing, but let's be honest, I don't have that much longer to be competitively fighting and jiu-jitsu and bodybuilding. You know, like, at a certain point I do have to start a life. I need to start a family. Like, I get that part, but for now, I think I got a good, 4 or 5 years left in me to compete at a high level. And I'm going to always want to keep this physique. I'm going to work my ass off to keep this as long as I possibly can. And that's the great part about it, is it wasn't synthetically put on. Like, this was put on by just years and years in the gym and tons of weight and tons of reps. And I can't even go into how much time I spent in the gym. But
again, and the other thing too is, and you alluded to this earlier, but a lot of this is just nature. It's, you take nature and build upon it. If you have nothing to build upon, and then you are at the mercy of artificial stimulus, and you're at the mercy of artificial means, that's problematic.
Yes, and I never wanted to become dependent on that. So many of these athletes, I'm sure, are dependent upon it, or it's just like a regular drug. It's just like people want to stop heroin, they want to stop cocaine. Oh, great. But people want to stop steroids. They're like, what? No. Oh, I'm going to lose all my gains. Oh, I can't do that. No way. But you're like, listen, just because you're a bodybuilder does not mean you need to take steroids. They think they go hand in hand. Like, oh, I'm a bodybuilder now, so I got to start cycling. And it's like, no, bodybuilding's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It has nothing to do with steroids.
Katie, I will tell you that it's as prevalent in the world of professional wrestling as it is in bodybuilding. And in fact, to be honest with you, probably more so.
Yeah.
Because these guys are on the road, when wrestling is in full swing, these guys are on the road 6-7 days a week.
Yes.
They never see the same town twice in a week. It's extremely rare.
Hard.
They're either in a car or on a plane. So the opportunity for them to get into a gym is rare.
Yeah.
So they, naturally they take unnatural supplements to keep that look, that aesthetic.
Yeah.
What we call in the business ring-worthy look.
Yes.
You have to look a certain way.
Yep.
Because that's who buys the tickets. The men and women who buy tickets, and young teenagers and people who buy tickets, they want to see somebody that looks like Superman.
Exactly. They have to have that look. Yeah.
There was a very well-known female bodybuilder. I'm sure you knew her, or you knew her name anyway. Her name was Joni Lauer. She was a wrestler named Chyna.
Yes.
Now, Chyna, Joni was a very muscular woman when she came into the WWF. Within a year, they had her stop all of her training. They paid for reconstructive surgery. and she looked nothing like the bodybuilder that she was
Mhm.
in 1 year. By the way, in 1 year.
Mhm.
Does stopping a steroid cycle in a year do that much to take off the muscle from you? Does it come off that quickly?
I mean, if you completely stop training and you cut back on calories, some protein, the things that keep your muscle and preserve your muscle, I wouldn't be surprised. If you start maybe drinking
Yeah.
alcohol, it makes you soft. So I really think
Well,
you're
that's another thing too.
but definitely help.
This poor girl, apparently did a lot of stuff to hurt herself, unfortunately.
God
But
rest
the biggest thing she did was put this crap into her body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are, under even the best circumstances, that's going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what your desire is for the future. Where do you want to see female bodybuilding go? Where does it go for you, and where does it go for the rest of the country? What happens next?
I'm hoping that it can continue to go maybe a little, like, it can continue to go forward. Of course, we want to build the audience and build the popularity with the sport, but I think taking it back down, like backtracking a little bit to like the 80s, where the women were a little bit smaller, but they were still muscular and still lean. And I think aesthetically it's going to be more pleasing to people and the public. Let's be honest, you don't have Iris Kyle on the front of Oxygen magazine. No, it's a very pretty, petite, kind of muscular, a little bit abs, maybe a vein or two here and there, but nothing that's overpowering, So I'm hoping it goes back down that 80s route. And that's what I wanted to do, was bring that look back.
Katie, do you remember, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but there was a woman, you may have heard of her. Her name was Krista Bach.
I might know her if I saw her.
Okay. She was a German woman with short black hair named Krista Bach. Check her out when we're off the air.
Okay.
She was the perfect female bodybuilder. Perfect. Not too big, not too small, not too tall, not too short, not too wide, not too thin.
Mm-hmm.
She had abs, but she didn't look like, the side of a building.
Yeah. Yes.
She was the perfect female bodybuilder. Krista Bach, Bauch.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out sometime. Here I am. I'm giving you an education. Look at this.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Hold on a second.
I know my girls, but
hold on a second. Uncle Angelo's proud of himself. Hot damn.
Nice job.
So we have to do a couple of things first. So stay with me here. With me here. Gotta tell everybody. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. I want to tell everybody. Let's move on. Let's move the microphone. The shirts.
Yes.
Check the shirts out. That beautiful, right?
Yeah.
3 for $25. 3 for $25. Any size, we got them. 3 for $25. The link and description are below. Mike, come to me. We got them in large, extra large, 2, 3, and 4X. So if you're a big guy, or you're Katie Lee and need a 4X because your muscles are so big, I got them for you. So there. 3 for $25, any size. We have a special show on September 1st. You might like this, Katie. You might like this a lot. Okay. We have the return of Vince Russo, the former head writer for the World Wrestling Federation, will be joining me. He's coming back, along with Stephen Plim. Now, Stephen Plim, you ask yourself, who the hell is Stephen Plim? Well, let me tell you about Stephen Plim. He's the author of this amazing book called Tiny Tim and Mr. Plim. He was the manager and best friend of the legendary ukulele-playing Tiny Tim, Tiptoe Through the Tulips. If you remember who.
Yep.
See, you're young. I got to teach you stuff.
Yeah, I do remember. I'm the youngest of 4, so
Tiny Tim's best friend and manager, Stephen Plim, will be here for part 1 of a 4-part retrospective about Tiny Tim and his life in Hollywood. He has been the agent to some of the biggest stars in the world, and he will let the dirt out. He was going to, as they say, let the dog out. Woof, woof.
Right.
And Stephen Plym will be here, and we're going to have a good time. On September 3rd, George Anastasia, the famed mob author, will be here talking about life in the mafia. Why are we in love with these crazy guys called the mob? Why the romanticized notion of the mafia? Where did it come from? Why is it still around all these years later? And is the mob dead, or are they making a comeback? We'll find out from George Anastasia.
Nice.
And a very special MMA series. We've got, as I mentioned, Dan the Beast Severn, Stephan Bonner, Chuck Liddell, and the King of Connecticut himself, the Granimal, Matthew J. Granahan, will be back.
Nice. Now,
something you might enjoy, Katie. We have a special cooking show. We're actually going to do a cooking show.
Nice.
We're going to cook healthy foods, substituting ground meat with turkey, ground turkey.
Mm-hmm.
How to enjoy pasta without putting on the pounds and calories. We're going to talk about protein enhanced pastas, low carb pastas. How about that stuff? We're going to talk about substituting certain meats for others, and how to enjoy your tomatoes without the acidity of it killing your stomach. Lots of good stuff. Oh my God, I'm getting hungry talking about it.
I know, right?
Oh, please.
Love food.
You and I are the only two people on a Friday night home doing nothing. Right?
I know,
Look
right?
at us.
I'm just waiting for the fight tomorrow. That's all.
There you go. Absolutely. So, tell everybody about Katie Lee. Where can they find you? How can they get a hold of you? And social media, appearances, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, I do have a website that's up and running, kleemade.com, KLEEMADE.com. It's just a very basic site, got some training programs on there, a little bit of merchandise. Instagram, of course, is a very huge platform, at klee024. I do have an athlete page on Facebook that I do try to post on. So really, I think through those avenues, you can easily connect.
Well, I know your Instagram is huge. It's very extensive. And I want to tell people, Katie's Instagram is loaded with training tips, training videos, inspirational stuff, a lot of inspirational stuff. This is a young lady that takes her training seriously. She's a no-nonsense, no bullshit kind of girl. I like that about her. You have to forgive me. I'm old school. I still say girl. Jeez.
That's okay. I did not take offense to it whatsoever.
But yeah, I want people to know I'm putting you over because you're one of the good people in female bodybuilding, and there's a lot of them still left. They're hard to come by, but you know,
I think we're a dying breed. But I know that we can still push, and I got some years left in me, so I don't want to tap out yet. You know, I really want people to understand that there's a right way to do this, and the guys too. I tell them the same thing. You know, you don't have to take that crazy route. You know, I just had a 19-year-old kid today that I had a video call with, that I was stressing to him about building a foundation. Like, if you're building a house, you need to lay the bricks the right way the first time. Don't lay them all messed up and pouring all this glue and weird shit all over it just to get it to stay. You know, it's just, it takes time and it takes patience.
Well, you know, Katie, the most important thing about building your house is the foundation.
Yes.
You've got to have a solid foundation, and that's your body. That means you got to take care of your body. You have to, you have to really give it the attention it needs. Here I am, 62 years old, quit smoking, finally quit smoking. I actually lost weight.
Oh.
Now, it's funny because my body is paying me back now for all them years of abuse. I quit smoking. I'm detoxing like crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man.
It'll get worse. And I was better.
Yeah, I'm telling you what. It's funny because it's the detoxing almost makes you want to have a cigarette.
Oh, I bet.
If you give into that, I'm going to tell people, if I can stop smoking, listen to me. I want to tell you seriously, straight shoot. If I can stop, you can stop. Because I smoked for 38 years. I'm going to tell you straight up. If I can do it, you can do it. One day I said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I put it down. I'm done. That's it. No more.
Good for you.
And I haven't looked back. And it's been almost 2 months now.
Good job. Congratulations.
And here's the best part, Katie. I don't even get the urge anymore.
Yep.
The first couple of weeks I did bad.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
well,
similar
I'll
to
tell
actual
everybody
food
that the
stuff.
Katie Lee will definitely be back. I will guarantee she'll be back. I give you that promise with her sitting here. I'm telling you now. You're coming back, kiddo. You're coming back.
I will. For all the UFC guys, you got to bring me back. We'll do
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Absolutely, for sure. So don't hang up after we're done. So I'm going to tell everybody, Wrestling with the Future now has a dedicated YouTube channel. Thank you for over 2 million downloads worldwide, 139 platforms across the globe, 7 commercial radio stations, 3 international television stations. Thank you to Robert Whitaker in England. Thank you to our friends Amy in Canada, Skynet Canada. We love you up there. Thank you so much. And we're starting a new episode next week, a new segment. It's called Cryptic Corner. For all of you, ghost hunters out there, you guys that like Bigfoot and the Chupacabra and Mothman and all that kind of crazy shit, guess what? We got the mother load for you. Next week, we're going to dump it all on you. So join us next week for Cryptic Corner. So, for my co-host, Dan the Man Sebastiano, who has the night off, for Jason the Bearded Sensation, who has the night off, flying solo tonight, I'm Psychic Angelo. Take care, everybody, and happy wrestling. Bye-bye.
Thank you.